Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Founders Grid, sponsored by Gaper.io. Today we have Anna Spearman. Anna is the founder of Techie Staffing. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm happy to be here.
So, give us a brief background about yourself, that what you've been up to before starting Techie Staffing.
Okay, well, I'm 22 years old, and to give a little bit of a background, growing up, I was always interested in any new technological gadget, specifically in gaming. So, my first gaming gadget was a Game Boy, and that translated to a PlayStation and PSP and Wii. And when I entered middle school, I finally got my first MacBook, which I was super excited about, and that really quenched my thirst in technology. So moving forward, I was accepted to Marlboro School for high school, and they knew I was really interested in STEM. So my future robotics teacher, he recommended a summer robotics camp for me called the Rock and Robot Summer Camp, which gave a brief introduction of robotics to girls. And so that allowed me to transition to the Marlboro robotics team. And also it just really quenched my thirst and propelled my interest into computer science. So I ended up attending the University of Virginia with a computer science degree, a computer science major, and I minored in entrepreneurship. And I participated in extracurricular activities. I participated in Hack-Seville, which is a nonprofit. It's a bit of an entrepreneurial accelerator, and it also provides different skills for college students that they couldn't necessarily find in traditional college courses. So one of the programs I participated, I actually became a startup trip coordinator. So a part of the nonprofit, they conducted startup trips where it was kind of like a college tour of different tech companies or companies in general. So there was a San Francisco startup trip, and I had to identify 4 different tech companies or general companies, specifically in tech, because there is, with Hack-Seville, a lot dealing with tech. And we toured Salesforce, Reddit, DoorDash, as well as Twitch. And that really introduced me to business development and sales, and really selling to the people currently at the company why we as a group should participate and come and tour the office space. So that was a great introduction into reaching out to different people. So upon graduating, I actually had to finish my second semester of senior year remotely due to the pandemic. I arrived back home in Los Angeles from Virginia in spring break, and that's when the lockdown started. So I finished the last part of my second semester remotely, and after graduating, that led to the birth of Techie Staffing, because after graduating, I actually had a virtual graduation. I quickly saw the rapid dwindling of junior software engineer and junior product manager roles, because a lot of companies during that time in the spring and during the new time of the pandemic just didn't really know how to ramp up entry-level technical talent just yet virtually. So, but I quickly saw on these different job boards just this wealth of senior tech jobs in different companies, specifically companies that were actually thriving due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So I had had a little bit of background with recruiting from a summer internship in 2019, and wanting to utilize my entrepreneurship minor. I just thought, why not start now? And I founded Techie Staffing, a technology staffing agency specializing in direct hire placements nationwide. We connect top tier technical talent with growing, thriving engineering teams.
Nice, nice. Good luck with that. There are a lot of overlaps with Gaper on that. So before we get down to the challenges related to staffing, uh, building up a company during pandemic, right? So especially how's everything been, and how you've been able to balance with uh, the mental health, the work-life balance, how you've been able to do that?
Uh, accustomed to working from home. Actually, in college, I actually preferred to do majority of my work from home. I wasn't the type to really be in the libraries, and I always thought of my home as being my main focus point. So I've always been used to having an environment at home where it's simultaneously being able to work and just being able to relax. I actually feel like with working from home and being remote, it's really helped my work-life balance. During my summer internship in 2019, it was at a tech startup located in Pasadena. I commuted every day from Culver City to Pasadena, which is about an hour and 15-minute drive and back and forth. And I just felt like during that time, commuting just doesn't make sense. You know, a lot of people say that commuting allows you time to think and just have your own space. But personally, for me, I preferred the little bits of time that my startup allowed me to work from home, because I could basically just wake up, come to the table, you know, open my computer with a cup of coffee. And when I was done with the day, I was able to just close my computer and immediately decompress. So now I'm allowed, like right after finishing work, I can go off and take a walk and or exercise and really help work on my mental health.
Got it. So, staffing, and especially virtual staffing, right? And more primarily towards the technology space, where there are multiple challenges when it comes down to IP protections, and even the founders, the young founders, are very emotionally attached to their ideas, right? So they're not receptive towards initially. Some of them, I'm not talking about all of them. So have you faced founders like these, and how have you convinced them everything virtually, from the placement happening over Zoom to you convincing that you're the right man? So what tricks and trades you've taken in that regard?
Well, I feel like I've really taken the approach where I've been the candidate before, and just kind of really being empathetic and understanding of the founder, what the founder is actually looking for, you know, because they're just people too. So just trying to whatever the ideas they have, just embracing it and just trying to see how Techie Staffing could align with that and provide the proper tech talent to make those ideas become reality.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. And so, any three pieces of advice you would uh, give to the young founders out there on how to go about it when selecting the right candidate? What three things or what three qualities should they be looking
Um, I would say one awesome quality I'd say again is empathy. There was one day where I was interviewing a candidate, and I asked if there was any other questions, and she just genuinely asked, like, how are you? And especially during this time where people, like you say, you're having trouble with mental health, and during this pandemic and having that social isolation, just really trying to find the best possible way to connect with people virtually, and especially candidates, and I think that would allow to find the best opportunities for the candidate themselves. I would say the second piece of advice would just to I would say just trying to make sure, especially with being in tech, I think it's a little more rigid sometimes, because it's about, you know, whether or not the person properly aligns with the tech stack. So really just researching different tech stacks and really knowing the different frameworks and the languages that are out there. And I think that makes it easier to really speak the candidate's language. I know for myself personally, as a technical founder and being a computer science major, I am able to talk about those tech stacks and be comfortable, like understanding what the engineering wants or the type of problems they want to solve in order to transition to that company. So just understanding is when you're in that tech space, just understanding the tech stack. And I would say the last piece of advice is just to never give up, and, you know, don't be afraid. I know right now it seems a little dim sometimes, but there's so much hope. And I feel like right now, like, entrepreneurship is really like thrive. It was really thriving for people who just have the time at home to think about the problems they are dealing with and how they could possibly solve it and solve core issues that are happening right now, you know, with the pandemic, and trying to help assist with remote collaboration. I've seen a bunch of SaaS products that will help with remote collaboration, or helping with virtual events to promote social interaction and that human interaction.
Got it. Got it. So, my last question would be primarily, so we're having this discussion with, so we did a poll last month, when it came down to primarily how many founders would want to go back to office and how many would want to stick with this routine. So the first opinion, so the poll is whether you would want to go back to office or not. Then I'll ask my question.
Uh, I personally don't think that I would have an office. When I started developing the idea, I developed strategic partnerships with 8 senior technical recruiters with full candidate pipelines that were ready to fill incoming job requisitions. And majority of them have done freelance work, and so they are accustomed to work from home. So I actually was really excited during this period of time where companies were majority wanting to transition to remote or working from home, because I really do feel like that flexibility will allow not only just for being focused and in the zone, but also allowing for global hiring and not just hiring within the US or being confined to one geographical location. Now, companies and startups have the opportunity to look for candidates based off of the specific qualification, or in my case, just whether they align with the tech stack, instead of just, oh, is this person located in the right area to eventually go on site. So I do feel like it would be nice potentially to go into a co-working space where you still have that like in-person human collaboration, because starting Techie Staffing during the pandemic, I've talked to recruiters who speak about these networking events they attended, where they were not only able to find a wealth of prospective candidates to fill to help with future opportunities, but also finding prospective clients. So I think it would be great if there's kind of like that 50-50 or even 70-30 model, where you can spend some time, maybe you can spend more time work from home, but come in just to have that human collaboration, or even spend more time on site, but also have those days where you can purely focus on your work and your work alone.
Got it. Got it. Anna, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for everything. Take care of yourself, stay safe, and all the best with Techie Staffing.
Thank you so much too, and you be safe as well.